Debating teams, mediators, welcome to today's debate. The motion for this debate is leaders are born, not made. On the government side, we have Karine Kingston, Len Lindsay, Tiana Llewellyn, Andre Sanchez, and Annalisa Singh. They are arguing for the motion. On the opposition side, we have Jamila Cox, Anastasia Daisley, Selena Danraj, Sydney Sam Sundar, and Destiny Roberts. They will be arguing against the motion. The order of the debate will be as follows. Oops. First main speaker for 5 minutes, an intermission of 2 minutes. First main speaker against 5 minutes, an intermission of 2 minutes. First rebuttal for 4 minutes, intermission 2 minutes. First rebuttal against 4 minutes, intermission 2 minutes. Second rebuttal and conclusion for 5 minutes, intermission 2 minutes. And second rebuttal and conclusion against 5 minutes. Timekeepers will sound a notice 30 seconds before your time is up. Timekeepers, play the song so they'll hear. We will begin with the government. Please give your full attention and respect to each speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, let's debate.
Honorable speakers, esteemed colleagues, I rise today to advance the proposition that leadership is not merely a skill that can be taught, nor a title that can be bestowed through training or appointment. Rather, it is an innate quality and intrinsic set of attributes that certain individuals possess from birth. Throughout human history, it has been observed that the ability to inspire others to make courageous and decisive choices and to commend the respect and attention of those around them has consistently emerged not through formal education or mechanical instruction, but through a natural predisposition to lead. We need we We need to look no further than the lives of Martin Luther King Jr., Napoleon Bonaparte, and Alexander the Great, from which each remarkably at a young age displayed characteristics befitting great leadership. Martin Luther King Jr., even as a teenager, exhibited profound communication skills and unyielding sense of justice. Alexander the Great was entrusted with the governance of Macedonia in his youth and demonstrated extraordinary military acumen and strategic vision. These figures serve as enduring evidence that while formal training may refine certain aspects of leadership, the foundation, the true essence of leadership is woven into the very fabric of an individual's being. Traits such as natural charisma, resilience in the face of adversity, and emotional intelligence, including the ability to make sound decisions under immense pressure, are not qualities easily imparted by external means. They are rather inherent capabilities, often awakened and magnified during times of crisis, rather than instilled through systematic education. If leaderships were merely the product of training, it follows logically that any individual exposed to leadership education will emerge as a competent and natural leader. Yet, experience tells us that this is not the case. Not all who are taught leadership principles ascend to positions of influence and command. It is those with an innate disposition who ultimately distinguish themselves. Thus, honorable members, it is the firm position of our group, the government, that true leadership is not constructed by learned experiences, but, but is an intrinsic intrinsic quality that enables one to raise to prominence when circumstances demand its most. This proposition shall be further explored and supported throughout the remainder of this discourse.
Thank you. We'll have an intermission of 2 minutes. We will now hear the first speaker against for 5 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Have you ever met someone who used to be shy and quiet but over time became a confident, respected leader? Maybe the head of a club, team, captain, or class representative. If leaders were only born, how could this transformation even be possible? The age-old debate of whether leaders are born or made has been discussed for generations. Some believe leadership is a natural gift, something you're born with. But many others argue that leadership is something you can learn and develop through experience, training, and perseverance. In today's world, leadership is not limited to select a few. It is a skill that can be nurtured in anyone willing to grow. I stand strongly against the notion that leaders are born, not made. I believe leaders are made, and as someone who has taken part in leadership training and programs and observed how people around me, including myself, have grown into leadership roles, I've seen firsthand that leadership is not something you're simply born with. It's something you earn and build. Before I continue my argument, I'd like to respectfully give the floor to the opposition team, and I look forward to hearing their perspective.
We have an intermission of 2 minutes. We will now hear the first rebuttal for 4 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I mean, Ms. Speaker, I rise to respond to the opposition. They said they strongly believe that leaders are made through training, skills, and experience. But just because you can train skills doesn't mean you can create true leadership. Leadership is not just about skills, it's about natural traits and can be taught. You can teach someone how to plan a project or deliver a speech, but you cannot teach someone to have presence, natural confidence, or the ability to make people believe in them. Many people get leadership training and still fail to lead because they don't have natural instinct and courage that leadership demands. If leaders were only made by training, then everyone who attended leadership classes would become great leaders. But we know that's not true. In fact, research by Avery et al. Shows that around 30% of leadership ability is genetic. That proves that leadership comes from something deeper, something you're born with, not something you pick up in a classroom. We, we also see this in history. Martin Luther King Jr. and Joan of Arc were not taught how to lead by books or classes. They lead naturally when leadership was needed. If leadership was simply taught, history would be full of trained leaders instead of natural ones stepping forward in tough times. The opposition argument sounds nice, but it doesn't reflect the real world. Training can help improve a leader, but it cannot create a leader out of everyone. True leaders are born and not made, and we stand firmly on that belief.
We'll have an intermission for 2 minutes.
Even though the opposing team made a great point about leaders who are born with these natural traits and are most likely to succeed, they still go through training to bring out these leadership qualities and still require their experience. Furthermore, my team believes that leadership is a fixed trait and a born leader in one area may completely fail in another. Therefore, leadership must be learned and adjusted over time. So, with that being said, the situational leadership theory posits that there is no universal superior leadership style. Rather, effective leadership requires the ability to adapt one's approach to the specific demands of a task and the characteristics of the group involved. So leaders are created, not born, and they grow by experience, enthusiasm, hard work, and perseverance. Effective leaders are shaped in large part by their surroundings, experiences, and education. Intentional work and study are just as important to leadership as natural qualities. So, an example would be even charismatic leaders fail if they can't adapt. So, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple in 1985 for poor management, and later his success came from learning humility and collaboration. Also, Jeff Bezos, in the early years of Amazon in the 1994, he was micromanaging founder, directing style. Then in the 2000s, he was a delegative leader, trusting his teams. And post 2010, coaching style focusing on innovation, culture, and that is proof of the situational leadership theory. So his leadership evolved with Amazon's growth. So no born genius could have predicted cloud computing rise, and this was taken from the NATO 2023.
We'll have an intermission of 2 minutes. We'll now have the second rebuttal and conclusion by the government for 5 minutes.
While the opposing team made some really good points, not everyone can become a leader, even with years of training or experience. Some people naturally don't have the mindset or personality for leadership. While training can improve skills like communication and time management, it doesn't guarantee that someone will be able to lead others confidently. A person might learn how to run a team but still struggle to gain respect, make bold decisions, or stay calm under pressure. A study done by Avi in 2006 found that around 30% of leadership ability is inherited through genetics. This means that some people are born, they are naturally. Sorry, just give me a second.
Is that the conclusion of the second rebuttal? Have we lost her?
Sorry, yeah, I got
Do you think she-
had some technical difficulties. I just got back in. Sorry about that.
All right. I guess we can make an exception. You are going to start over.
Yeah.
Proceed.
To continue my argument, a study that was done by Avi in 2006 found that around 30% of leadership abilities is inherited through genetics. This means that some people are simply born with the traits needed to lead. Even if two people go through the same training, the one with the natural personality and mindset will usually lead better. This supports the idea that leadership is not something that can be taught to just anyone. My colleagues and I have shown that leaders are born and not made. Over the past centuries, some of the most prominent leaders in history had risen up and became leaders without having proper training or courses, all because their outstanding leadership qualities were demonstrated naturally. They were optimistic, had the ability to make decisions in difficult times, while at the same time having the power to influence others. Being capable of doing all these things didn't come from training, it came from within. You all may assume that the position they had were appointed to them, but instinctively they stepped into those positions for themselves. Furthermore, we also highlighted that natural characteristics like resilience, emotional intelligence, and charisma are quite challenging to master if these qualities are being taught. In the early stages of life, these traits tend to emerge. It usually allows individuals to have an advantage that cannot be mirrored by teaching of courses on how to be a leader. This was backed up by science. Research had proven that around that same 30% of leadership skills are inherited genetically. It was confirmed in 2006 and even by Zhang in 2009. And they confirm that these qualities are determined by biology. So tell me, should we expect that if everyone goes through a program or course to be a leader, they will turn out to be an excellent or effective leader? The answer is no, because there are certain qualities that may lack when it comes to leading people, inspiring them, and demanding respect. Those who are trained to be a leader can struggle with those things. In addition, there have been real life events that have continuously proven that leaders are born and not made. When there was a crisis There were individuals who were born with the ability to handle situations calmly while under pressure. They also had a vision as well as the strength to take on the role of being a leader. And surprisingly, they were the ones to lead, not the ones that were trained or qualified. Leadership is something that comes naturally when necessary, and not because we sat in a classroom and learned the theory of leadership. My colleagues and I are not going to deny that skills can be strengthened through practicing, but the fundamentals of leadership must already exist within the individual. When it comes to being a leader, it is a component of that person. It is not a mask that we decided to wear. Let me conclude by saying that leadership cannot fully be developed. It is something that people are born with because it is formed by natural traits and instincts, which cannot be created through teachings or programs, etc. Science, history, and human characteristics and behaviors has made it abundantly evident that leaders are born and not made. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this brings the motion of leaders are born, not made, to a close. We will now have an assessment for the next 8 minutes.